future of Texas isn't decided by chance. It's decided by those who show up. Listen in as Tim Davis, chairman of the Tarrant County Republican Party, focused on the road ahead and the importance of civic engagement. As we approach the November elections, every vote has the power to shape the future of our communities. It's up to us to keep the Republican platform in place. Together, let's prepare for November and make our voices heard. For our families, our children, and our future.
For your gift of your son, Jesus. Thank you for this day and for this gathering of patriots. Thank you for getting everyone here safely and for getting everyone home safely. Lead us in our activities towards helping others, making every resource readily available. And Lord, bless the U.S. Bless the state, our nation, our leaders. In the name of our living Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, amen.
Committee this year, I want to return the results of our meeting. We met twice and we discussed how to use the funds of the club in order to support candidates. So the results of our meeting are right up here on the board. If you can scroll a little bit, if you wouldn't mind. This is how we've decided this year in order to separate out and donate to individual candidates, and also leaving a sum to donate to the Tarrant County GOP. But before we get to the point of handing out checks, we have to present this to you and take a vote on whether or not you choose to accept the results of the PAC committee meeting. All in favor of accepting these results as a group? Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Well, that does it then.
Because we went and watched Nolan Ryan pitch in the old ballpark. I still have that ticket stub. And on Saturday night, I get the joy of taking my son to his first Rangers game. And we live here, and so he is fired up. He is so excited. Tonight we read about the Seattle Mariners, which while I was reading about anything from Seattle, I don't know. But that's the only way, I guess, is because they're going to come here and play our ball team. And that's going to be a highlight of my life and his life here in Arlington. So thank you for everything y'all do. Thank you for everything you do at this club. I want to talk a little bit about our plan to get out the vote. But before I do, I want to talk about my sons again, because I think before we talk about a plan, we have to talk about why we have a plan. How many of y'all were at our first EC meeting for the biennium just a few weeks ago? Yeah. So hopefully you got to see the main reason for why I think we have to get out the vote. My two sons and my wife were there. And it's kind of tough for me to get my wife out sometimes because she's taking care of those two little boys. And it's even tougher to get them out because they might light the building on fire. And so we really have to watch them sometimes. But it was so cool for me to have them there, have them be able to spend some time with us. My oldest son led our opening prayer. One of my favorite pictures of the two of us is of me and him up there while he's doing that prayer. We'll have that forever, just like we'll have that game on Saturday forever. It would not make any sense for me to do this work, for you to do this work, if you didn't think about your families first. If you didn't think about, I was looking at that list as those candidates were coming up, and I don't know if you noticed, there was a column there, had our candidate's name, had the office they hold, the office they're running for, but there was a column there that was full of other names. Did you see that column? I hope you did, because there was a name in every column going down, every cell going down that column. Those people want to take from us what we have in this county. They want to take from our families why I moved here with my wife and why we had those two little boys here. Those people want to take that from us. And so if we want to talk about why we want to get out the vote, that's, for me, the first reason why, is because I have two little boys that live in this county. I have a wife, and we live in this county on purpose. And we want it to stay the place for freedom, for faith, for our family that it's been all these years. That's the first reason. The second reason, just like you all, I just bought a house, another house here. And Lindsay and I were talking for years. Do we want to stay here? Do we want to move somewhere else? And we made the decision to stay here in Tarrant County. Of course we did. We love this place. We have great friends here, our families here, our churches here. And then all of a sudden, Elisa Simmons decides she wants to run for county judge. And so what we have to do so that we can stay living here is keep our property taxes low and make sure that woman never holds public office in this county again. And that Jared Williams isn't sitting up there on the dais right beside her. And that none of those judges come and hold office in this county ever again. It's too important. Because we have our families here, we own property here. But let me tell you the third thing, and I didn't even realize this until a few weeks ago. One of the things that I enjoy more than being party chair, there's very few things, but there are a few, that I enjoy more than being party chair, is that I get to work with our church. Our church has a really, really big network of church plants all over the country that we're really proud to have planted. And I was in Las Vegas a few weeks ago for work, and we have a church plant out there. I don't like Las Vegas. Some of y'all, I'm sure, just love it out there. It's not my place. But I got to go visit our church plant out there. And our church plant meets in a school. And just because of the work that I've gotten to do with the church, I know that sometimes it's difficult for church plants to meet in schools. Because all of a sudden, when we start teaching what we believe about the family, when we start teaching what we believe about a man and a woman should be married to each other, schools don't like that very much. While I was out in Las Vegas, I always try to make a point of this when I travel, and I'll try to meet my counterpart in whatever county that I'm in. So I met with the chair of the Republican Party of Clark County, Nevada. She's got a tougher job than me, for sure, but they have a Republican governor out there. So I was talking with her, and I was talking with the pastor at our church plant, and I said to them what I said to you. I said, it's unusual sometimes to have a school that's so willing. So this church is doing phenomenally well. It's doing so well. And I said, it's unusual for a church to have such a good relationship with a school. And the pastor said, not the chairwoman, the pastor said, it's because we have Republican leaders that helped us. I mean, he said it, just totally unprompted. And so we will lose that in this county if we lose this county. I want you to know that. We had a county judge that closed your church during COVID. Think about that. To me, it's one of the deepest shames of my life that I lived through that at a time when the government said churches can't meet. That will happen again if we lose this county. I promise you it will. So before we ever talk about what the plan is, how we're going to get the vote out, we got to keep those things in our mind about why we're doing the work that we do. It's too important because that list, that column, they're coming for us. And that's what they'll take from us. If we don't fight, if we don't work harder than we've ever worked, and your $2,000, I promise you, I'm going to try to turn it into $4. I'm going to try to turn it into $1 million. I'm going to try to turn it into $2 million. I will spend every dollar we raise because that, to me, is what is at stake. And I know that you are here for that fight. So I want to talk about some stuff. I'm going to talk about some plans that we have. I want to talk about how we're going to turn out this vote. And I first want to start by telling you about a poll that we did. Some of you have heard this, and I'm going to visit with our candidates again on Saturday, go over some of this in a lot of detail with them. And then we plan to have an entire EC meeting dedicated to this, or special EC meeting dedicated to this stuff. So you guys are getting the front-end preview of it. But we put a poll in the field of, I say 1,000, it was 927 Tarrant County voters in the week after the runoff ended. So you with me? So we're talking about really the first part of June. And we did this poll, and it's a new way of polling. And I'm not really a science guy at all. I'm a lawyer and probably not even that good a one at that. But the pollsters tell me there's this new way of polling where they can tell, like if you were just to call somebody and say, hey, Tim, do you like steak at the grocery store? I'll say, yeah, I guess steak is good. And then if you call me and say, do you like cabbage? I would say, I'll eat it if I have to, kind of thing. And so steak will poll really well and cabbage won't poll all that great. Well, they have this new way where they can test steak against cabbage and figure out which one motivates me more. Am I more excited to go buy the cabbage or am I more excited to go buy the steak? You guys with me a little bit on that? I don't know how they do it. There's a whole system to it, a whole algorithm to it. It's real impressive to see, but we did that here in Tarrant County. And we tested about 20 to 25 different issues against each other. They ran it through their machine, their system, and it spit out the 5 on the other end. Again, not the most popular issues. I don't care about the most popular issues. I care about the issues that are going to motivate people, that are going to take people and send them to the voting booth. So I'll just open it up. You guys take a guess. What was the most popular issue? What was the most motivating issue across every group? We tested Republicans, a third. We tested Republicans, Democrats, and independents. 100% correct. That's exactly right. It was by far and away the strongest that we have to reduce property taxes. The second thing is, you won't be surprised at all, it was valuing families over big corporate interests, valuing working families over big corporate interests. And then the other is just the simple cost of living issues that we're all experiencing. And that was true across all 3 groups. No surprise. We paid a lot of money for that poll to not be surprised. But it's good to know, right? We have to get this information because there are 500,000 voters in Tarrant County with no primary history. So what that means is when we go and look at the voter rolls and try to figure out, all right, is this person with us or are they with Elisa Simmons? We don't know on that person. And so what we've got to first do is voter ID. Anybody ever done any of that before where you go to the door and just say, hey, Tom, you did it for Abraham Lincoln. We know. We know. I always say that joke about Tom, sorry. So it's the easiest door knock you'll ever make. It's the easiest phone call you'll ever make. You say, hey, I'm Tom Wilder with the Republican Party, and they're going to hang up. You can mark them as a Democrat right there in the system. Or if they slam the door, you can mark them as a Democrat. But if they talk to you and you say, hey, what do you think about property taxes? And you feel them out, then we've identified that one of the 500,000. Hey, this is a conservative voter, most likely to go and vote for our candidates in November. That's a big task, to identify 500,000 people. We're going to do that through, like I said, we're going to call them. We're going to go, as folks are door knocking and block walking, we're going to go and talk to them. Don't get mad at me, but have you ever gotten that text where it says, hey, do you want to ban Sharia law or something like that? Those don't get a huge response rate, but of the people who respond, they will self-identify. If they do, that's a conservative voter. We can mark them in the system. We know how to target them as we head towards November. So there's a lot of ways that we can do this voter ID. We're going to work with Governor Abbott's campaign. Some of you all have downloaded the Advantage app. Their campaign is doing some of this in Tarrant County. We're going to work with all the campaigns because big, sophisticated campaigns are doing this. We will share our data across all campaigns and make hopefully light work of a big, big task of identifying, voter IDing those 500,000 voters. So everybody with me so far? So we're going to figure out, because everybody in this room is going to go vote. You're giving money to candidates. I know how you're going to go vote. I don't need to knock on your door. I don't need to call you. I mean, I'd like talking to you. I don't mean that. But, I don't need to encourage you to get out the vote. Everybody in here is going to. Those 500,000, once we identify how many of them are with us, that's who we're targeting. That's who we're driving to the polls. That's who we're making sure that they go vote. Second phase of this is going to be persuasion. And so we've got to build messages, Cheryl knows what I'm talking about, around these issues, around those top 5 issues that we talked about cost of living, property taxes, about crime and punishment. That was a big one. And fortunately, in this county, it's not a huge problem. You know why? Because all of our judges are Republicans and our DA is a Republican and they uphold the rule of law. Now, think about if that goes away. Do you all know who the Democrats nominated for district attorney over in Dallas County? They had somebody, so their current district attorney has said that there is some level of theft that he's just not going to prosecute beneath. I don't know what it was. I guess I should figure it out and just go commit some crimes over there. What was it? Under $750. So I can go steal something for $749. That's cool. I mean, I got some plans after this. Let's go. Yeah. So he says that. $749, not going to prosecute you. They thought that was too conservative for them, and they ran him out of office, and they nominated for district attorney in Dallas County a judge who is currently being sanctioned for having her court coordinator impersonate her at hearings so she didn't have to show up to court. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Yeah, right. That's who they nominated. They decided that a guy who said he wouldn't prosecute 700, too much, too conservative for them. We need even more to the left of that. Dallas County is going to go down the tubes with this. It already was. Now, I don't want to go over there anymore if this happens. And it's going to happen because that's the direction that they're going in versus this county, where if you steal something for $12, Ellen's dad's going to throw you in jail. And these judges are going to make sure that you serve the consequence for that. That's how I was raised. That's how I'm trying to raise my sons. That's what I want them to know, that in this society we have rules and we will follow them and we will enforce them because it's for our good. It's a good thing that we have rules. It's a good thing that we have law and order in this culture and in this society. And that's why Dallas County will suffer its consequence. That's why we can't. That's why we've got to make sure these folks get reelected. Why Ellen's dad has to get reelected. Why Sheriff Wayburn in 2 years has to get reelected. Because it really is that real. That's 20 minutes that way. It's amazing to me to think about this is the state of Texas where we live and all of that's happening. So, sorry, I just kind of diverted from the script there. But we got to persuade people with that stuff. That's the kind of stuff we got to talk about when we talk to them. There's a lot of issues that didn't test very well in our polling. Banning Sharia law, for instance, that's a real important issue to me. I would test real strong on that one. But it didn't test very strong with independence. And all I care about right now, just real selfishly, I'll tell you, all I care about right now are those 500,000 people who only vote in general elections and getting them to pull the name, push the button next to Tony Tenderholt. I'm serious. And so I only want to talk about the things they want to talk about. We're in a sales mode right now. We're in the biggest sales campaign of our life. We got to convince those 500,000 people to come to us and not go to Elisa Simmons' side. Now, if the election is it November 4th, Tony? The 3rd? If the election is November 3rd, November 4th, go wild. Talk about whatever you want. But between now and then, let's be the best salesman for those issues, for the cost of living. We all know it's bad. For getting property taxes down, for law and order, for crime and punishment. Let's be the best salesmen and best saleswomen for those issues that we can possibly be and not get pulled off sides by the Democrats into other stuff, talking about whatever they think, the president's a pedophile or whatever insane things they come up with. In fact, let me tell you that story about the poll real quick. And Kathy, I'll watch my time. I won't go over, I promise. So on our poll, we look for what are called horseshoe issues that test really strong with the hard right and really strong with the hard left. And that was one of the issues that tested as a horseshoe was the death penalty for child predators. I'm for that. Tim Davis is for that. You want to abuse a child bad enough, we don't want to live among you we don't want you living among us anymore. I feel that, I believe that. So the hard right, it tests really, really high with. And the hard left, we noticed it tested really, really high with. You got a guess, Judge?
Yeah, I got a guess.
What is it?
Oh, they think that all the elected officials are pedophiles.
100% correct. He's right. That's why they think the president is a pedophile. And so they think this is the way we'll get him. It's crazy. These people live among us. They're running Dallas County. It's amazing to me that this is how they think, but this is what's at stake. And so anyway, let's not get pulled off sides by their crazy theories of whatever it happens to be at the time. And it's going to be something every day with that crew. Just go watch Commissioner's Court. Just watch what Elisa tries to, you're sitting there. I don't know, how do you not throw anything?
Very difficult.
Yeah, very difficult, very difficult.
I tried to stomp one of them once. The sheriff's deputy grabbed the whole thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't worth
Calm down, Tom. That's what it was. So that's what they're going to try to do. Because if we work together, if we do it right, we're going to win. And they know that. They know that. One of the encouraging things that I saw in that column of names that I just rolled my eyes at is we outraised them in this last cycle. You outraised your guy huge. Now, still give Tony money for sure. I'm not saying that. But when we follow the money, Tim outraised Elisa $700,000 to maybe $100,000, and most of her 100 wasn't even real. It was just in-kind kind of fluff. And so I'm encouraged by that. I think that the resources that we need, we're going to go get those. We're going to work hard. We're going to try to make sure that we have everything we need to get this message out. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be worth it, though. So second phase of all that, like I say, is persuasion. Talking about property taxes, talking about law and order, crime and punishment, those issues that really matter to those conservative 500,000 voters that we're going to voter ID. And then the third phase is probably the thing that you're most familiar with. We're going to go block walk. Once we've identified, let's just say it's 300,000 of the 500,000. Once we've identified those 300,000, we want to go knock on their door. We want to give them a phone call. We want them to see our digital ads on TV. We want them to get all of our mail. I know that the mail is annoying. I get it. But what research shows us is in that 8 seconds from the mailbox to the trash can, they're looking at it, and it's registering. And as long as you're getting those eyeballs, that's all that matters. I still have a stack of Lee Wamsgang's mail in my garage. I don't know why. I know, I'm going to keep it forever, Lee. I don't know why, but I guess I'm just weird like that. Most people aren't, but it works. And the other thing, too, like, please don't get mad at me about the text messages, because we're just going to hammer the text messages, because they work. They work. I know it's annoying, and I know it's stupid when you get, like, some picture. My wife is always like, did you send me this? Like, she's saying that to me. And I looked at it, and I was like, yeah, I did send that to you. I get it. I'm hearing it from everybody, but they work. And we just don't have the luxury of laying back. We don't have the luxury of just taking this one off and just hoping we'll get them on the next one. These judges work too hard. This county is too important for us to just take any piece of that for granted. And so what we'll do at the party is every single thing we can. I am not taking a vacation day. I realized this today between now and November 3rd. I just can't. I can't. We have too much work to do. And so I know that you all are here for it. What I will invite you to do is a few things. In the next few weeks, you're going to hear from the party about ways you can get involved. That's going to be that phone banking for voter ID. And that's going to be that phone banking for Get Out the Vote as we get into October and closer to Election Day and early voting. But it's going to be as well door knocking. It's going to be volunteering with these great campaigns that you guys have here in Arlington and making sure that they have the manpower that they need. We're doing a coordinated campaign at the party like we've never done before because we have to. We just have to. They're coming for us. This is their prize. Tarrant County is the crown jewel in our crown and in what is keeping Texas red and conservative. And so if they think if they can take that, they can take the whole country, that domino will fall. And so the people in this room have the power to keep them from doing that. I really believe that because we will decide it. I'm serious. We had a little thing in South Lake a few years ago that we didn't like, and we decided we didn't like it and that we were going to change it. And it lit a fire across the whole country. That's what Tarrant County is going to have to do this election. We're going to have to decide that those people aren't worthy of public office here, and we will knock a door till our knuckles bleed. We will text till our thumbs ache. We will talk on the phone till we lose our voice, because that's what it's going to take, but it will be worth it. Because I have 2 sons at home, you have your families at home, you have your houses that you've bought, you have your churches you go to. That is what is at stake in this election. And so I'm just glad to come and spend a few minutes with you on a Thursday night here in Arlington talking about it. There may be some questions. I'm happy to answer them if I can, and if not, I'll let you get back to your dinner and your sweet tea. Sir.
Act Blue. Ken Paxton filed a lawsuit here in one of our courts here recently, which has been stymied by the Democrats, who then went to Massachusetts and filed a federal lawsuit. So we're sort of on hold. But they are pumping money into our down ballot races against me, against Mary Louise, and others. They got a lot of money because that's where we think the communist Chinese are filtering there. That's why they're under investigation at the Department of Justice. But our party never does stuff like that. are you going to be the first chairman that might
Get us some
put
Chinese
together
money.
something like, well, I won't ask. I won't ask. I won't tell.
I'll take your yen. I'll take. Is that their currency in China? Is it? What's their currency in China?
Yeah,
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's worth less than $1. I know that. So I don't know if you all heard Tom's question. This is what the Democrats do. And so when we look at the screen and we see, I was talking before about how we outraised them. That's true. We outraised them in money because we report honestly. We follow the law. We say how much money we have. What the Democrats do is they use these real shadowy PACs, these real weird little organizations like Act Blue to filter money through. I'm not so worried about that particular piece because that's what they did it last cycle and we still beat them. I think that we're having as much of an impact with real money as they're trying to have with shady money. Number one. Number two, I think that you will see them back off that a little bit for the reason that you just said, because in this state we have an attorney general who will prosecute them for doing it. And so as he has caught them, we've kind of seen them retreat. That's why you've seen groups like Wendy Davis pop back up. Man, is she not the best grifter in Texas politics? Every 2 years, she comes out with a new group. We're going to do it this time. Oh, we're going to win this time. And now she's supporting down ballot races, to your point. This time we'll win. And she gets everybody all fired up, and she gets their money, and then I don't know what she does with it. So, of course, dark money is always going to be a problem. I don't want to minimize that, and I don't want to minimize the fact that that's happening. And that, for instance, George Soros plays in our DA's race. He did 4 years ago. I assume that he will this time as well. But I think what you're seeing is it's motivating our donors to a larger extent. And I think it's the spotlight that is now on it is causing their side to retreat from it a little bit. We're still early enough in the cycle that we're going to see how that plays out, though.
it's kind of out of our control, but basically if gasoline's over $4 a gallon on September 15th, we're in really big trouble. Do you think the Straits situation's going to, we went up 29 cents this week.
Right. Yeah, so I think, that goes to the larger cost of living issue that we talked about. And so I think what our candidates will probably do in the messaging that we'll build around it, which is really the question that you're asking, how do we talk to a voter who is feeling that pain when they go and fill up their truck? I filled my truck up the other day, and it was almost $100, and that was before this. And so what you're saying is, how do we talk to those folks? The first thing that we always need to do is empathize. What I just said is true. I'm feeling it too. None of us want that. We talked the other day about the things that our state folks can do and the things that they can't do. But I think you'll see a big push around insurance reform, for instance, because that's a huge expense at my house. I know it's a huge expense at your house. And I think you'll see a big push around cost of living issues. Like property tax is a cost of living issue, because the more it goes up, the less money that I have for other things. Rick and I were talking on the way over. Never forget in Texas, there's two components to that. And Rick and his group are doing their part to keep your appraisal down, to keep it reasonable where it needs to be. And we got to keep pressure on the municipalities to keep that rate low as well. You all know how that works. I don't have to explain it to this group. But we've got to keep that pressure on for that cost of living issue. I think you've seen the governor lead on this. I think you've seen others lead on this issue of property tax as we head to this next session. So that should be something that we build messaging around. But then I think, James, yeah, there you went. I think, James, your point about gas is a good one. And I think that's where it's okay for us to say some of this stuff is out of our control, and we suffer right there with you. Yeah.
We have to be really careful not to beat ourselves. We talk about beating the Democrats, right? But I'd like you to talk for a minute about during March, it's okay to have different calibers. But I will tell you all, I fought the Democrats every day, and I fought some Republicans. But the least strong Democrat, the one that is the least harm to us, is far worse than any Republican I have ever worked with. And so I'd like you to talk a minute about how we have to make sure we don't hurt ourselves. We're talking about beating the Democrats, but we can't beat ourselves. If there's a candidate out there, you name one, that maybe did something you didn't like, or maybe they were on the news, voting for them is far more important than skipping that. And I'd like you to talk about that for a minute.
No, that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up because, and let me just take it this way first and get to your question. The Democrats' media enablers want to see us split on each other. So the Houston Chronicle calls me this week and they say, oh, we want to talk to you about the grassroots, which I'm always happy to talk about. Maybe not necessarily the Houston Chronicle, but they said, we want to talk to you about the Senate race. And so I called the Paxton campaign. I said, do you want me to talk to them? And I was hoping they'd say no. But they said, yeah, go ahead and talk to them. So I talked to this reporter, and all of her questions were that. Oh, you all had this divisive primary, and the Cornyn voters are saying they're not going to go and vote for A.G. Paxton. And so I kind of like that question from a reporter because it gave me the opportunity to say, have you heard what James Tallarico has said with his mouth? Have you heard the words that came out of his mouth about how, God is non-binary, that there are 6 genders, that, all the vegan stuff, which if you're a vegan, please leave. I'm kidding, kind of. And so I said, our voters, what I mean by our voters, if we want to talk about our primary voters, I think what I'm about to say is true. But if we want to talk even about the conservative voters of the 500,000 that we just talked about, I think this is true. The best thing we can do is just let James Tallarico speak for himself. Because when he does, he can't help but let the weirdness out. This is a guy who doesn't represent me. He's never been married. He doesn't have any children. He doesn't go through these ideas that my wife and I have to think through every day about what are we going to do with these kids. He doesn't have it. He's a professional politician. He taught school for what, Tony, 2 years, and then immediately became a consultant, a high-dollar education consultant, which means he was just living off the government slush teat. I'm serious. That's what he did. And then became a pastor and said all of the stuff that is just far from the truth that I see in the Bible. And so let's let him speak for himself, because what he will do is not only will he send those voters to the column of A.G. Paxton, but he'll also unite us. Because again, that's what's at stake. Do you want James Tallarico to... John Cornyn is a good man, represented us well in the United States Senate. James Tallarico will not. He is not, and he will not. He is not a good man, and he will not represent us well in the United States Senate. That's what's at stake. So I'll talk about it broadly like that, but then locally, we know they're coming for us because every name in that column was filled. We don't have the luxury of going through primary issues in a general election campaign. I guess that's probably the best way for me to say it, Tony. Correct. Tony's opponent didn't even show up half the time when he was on city council in Fort Worth. I mean, that alone should send any reasonable person to go and vote for Tony. And so I think the problem that you've identified, and I think what I'm really hearing in the question is, how are we going to organize better? Because we're here. Look at us. We're here. We got the resources here. We got the manpower here. We got the people here. What I have seen us do, and us across the county do, whether it's South Lake in the northeast, whether it's all the way down in Mansfield in the south, whether it's here in Arlington, whether it's in Fort Worth, is the issue that Tony just brought up. We beat ourselves, and we just decide who's going to be the most Republican or the best Republican according to Tim or according to whoever. We don't have that luxury anymore. It used to be in Tarrant County, all we had to do was run a primary campaign, and November took care of itself. We don't have that luxury anymore. We cannot have these purity tests of deciding who is Republican enough for me. If you support the governor, if you support, I keep almost saying Senator Paxton every time. If I slip into it, just forgive me. Y'all know who I'm talking about. That he's not Republican enough for me, or he's too MAGA for me, he's too conservative for me. Look at what they did to her in her race. And think about what it cost us. That's what's at stake. In this room, there's a candidate that happened to. And that cannot happen in November for all the reasons that you know, all the reasons that we've talked about. And so we got to organize better, but we just got to hold each other in good faith more. That if you stand up and say you're a conservative, I want to work with you. And I don't want to divide with you because you might like a different tax rate than me or whatever it might be. One of the things that I'm most proud of is Cheryl and her old opponent from 2 years ago, seeing them work together. Now, I'm serious. We haven't talked about this. I said this to John the other day. I said, I got to tell Cheryl this. They're working together like crazy. They ran hard against each other in a tough runoff 2 years ago. And you should see them now. And like you all are setting the example for the county. So thank you for what you're doing. Yes. Yeah. Because I know that can be tough. But you all have realized that there are greater things at stake than the 100% purity test that people might want to try to hold to each other. You all are living that here in Arlington, and I think you're experiencing that because of the mayor that you have over here, and I'll be critical of him every chance I get. Yeah, sure. Sure. So that's what I think we got to do. We got to organize better, and we just got to hold each other in good faith. Yes, sir.
Tim, I like what I'm hearing, but I'd like, as the county chair, what are you doing to personally address the enemy within? And we have a lot of rogue precinct chairs that cause problems both in the local elections and these elections.
Yeah.
How are you addressing that?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. Let me give you a little bit of an election code lecture that you never asked for. When a person is elected as a precinct chair or installed as a precinct chair, there are certain things that they're entitled to do under the election code, and there are certain offices that they hold by virtue of their election as a precinct chair. And so, depending on the action that they take, and so it's a little bit difficult to kind of answer the question broadly. There are very limited things that the county party can do under the. Now, let me just also back out. There are 3 sets of laws that apply to the party, apply to precinct chairs. There's the election code. There's the Republican Party of Texas rules, and then we have local rules here that govern Tarrant County. Each of those speak on a certain degree to what we can do for rogue precinct chairs in your instance. And let's just use a real extreme example of somebody who all of a sudden starts endorsing a Democrat but claims to be a Republican precinct chair. Depending on their affiliation, we can take action against them in that extreme circumstance. But it would take probably court intervention to remove them. So that's one thing to think about. If somebody just stops showing up, and we have that already. We've had 2 meetings. In fact, I should say that. Those of you that aren't precinct chairs should know the party is already fully organized. We did it the earliest that we've ever done because we realized the work that we had to do in November. We already have all of our appointments made. We already have all of our officers sworn in. We even nominated a judge last time, Judge Ferry. Yeah. And so we are firing on all cylinders with what we can do in terms of the administrative, procedural stuff at the party. We're getting it done, getting it taken care of. For instance, going from that extreme of a precinct chair who's going to endorse a Democrat to somebody who just quits showing up, I want to be pretty aggressive about that, about removing precinct chairs who just abandon the office. That's what the code calls it, is office abandonment. I think you might know this from when you were doing it, after 2, we send them a letter, and then on the 3rd time, we bounce them out. We're going to start doing that because we're going to have to clear that out. Because what we found is in those precincts, there are people who will do the job. They just didn't know about how to get elected in the first place. Or somebody has just sat on it for a decade, and we've not done a good job as a party of moving those people up and out. And so we're going to start doing that. Now, I want to make that a focus probably after November, because this stuff is too important for me to get distracted by right now. But if you think about it, we'll do an election, and then we're going to have a legislative session. And that's the time to really get active. And I'll say one more thing, and then Kathy, how am I doing on time? 3 minutes. All right, that's all I need. That's perfect. So I'll say one more thing. We've asked all of the candidates to come and participate in this phone banking. And we're going to do it at the GOP office. We'll do it at other offices that we set up around the county, as you've seen us do in the past. But here's why we're going to do that, and here's why I want you to come to the office. You can phone bank from home, for sure. I mean, no doubt. We'll send you a list. We're happy for you to do it. But it's way fun to do it together. It's way fun if I'm sitting next to Tony Tenderholt and I hang up and I say, "You won't believe what that guy just said." And Tony will say, "Well, that was my father-in-law." Or whatever. So it's just fun to be together. We'll get pizza. I'll gain 15 pounds like I do every election. It's ridiculous. I just sit up there at the office and eat candy all day. And I tell Laura Oakley, I was like, quit buying this crap. And she comes in with more bags of it. And so we'll do all that because it's just fun to be together. But what's really good is that if Armin Mazzani is up there and you're phone banking next to him, you should ask him for his phone number. Because Armin's going to do something in November or in January that you may not like. And you call him and tell him about it. And you say, remember when we sat side by side and I helped you get out the vote so that you could win? I really want you to go do this instead. And I bet that will carry a lot of weight with these folks. Tony's been to Austin. I mean, he knows that if you're a person who showed up and did the work and you come in honesty and talk to them, they listen. They really do. And I think that's the influence that we want over our elected officials especially. And then we just want to have a good time while we're doing it. Was that 3 minutes? Okay.
I just have a quick question.
All right.
Yes. So with the precinct chairs that are which is going back to Roger's question, are we able to, the website, the GOP Data Center, are we able to cancel their access to where they're not giving the left the information
That's
to
right.
call and door knock?
Yep. We are. Now, I will say one thing about data center. Everybody familiar with GOP data center? So in Tarrant County, we just did not a redistricting, a re-precincting, I guess would be the way to say it. GOP data center is real messed up right now. So my actual precinct, the precinct that I live in is 3,500. For some reason, I actually live in 3,500. For some reason, GOP data center, if it doesn't know what precinct you're in, has assigned you to 3,500. So my precinct has 200,000 voters in it, according to GOP data center. So thank you for bringing that up. And yes, we will cut off their access, cut off their resources, all that stuff for folks who aren't showing up and doing the work. We have to, absolutely, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Really appreciate it.